because the anthropologists were not thinking genetic diversity, they're thinking skin color. They put them all in one bin. But if you have the most genetic diversity, then in practically every way humans vary, you would find the extreme of that in the African continent. Where would you find the tallest people in the world? Watusi tribe of Africa. How about the shortest people in the world?
Pygmies.
The Pygmies. Not even that far away.
Right.
Geographically. They have the same skin color, so the Europeans said these are one group of people, one race. Where might you find the slowest people in the world? Well, no one looks for them. Where would you find? There's no races to find the slowest people. How about the fastest people? Africa. Okay? People of African descent have dominated the long distance as well as the sprint, two completely different physical abilities. Oh, but they're all dark-skinned people. They're all Negroes. Okay? Where would you likely find the dumbest person in the world? Africa. How about the smartest person in the world? Africa.
How about the Egyptians?
The Europeans did not look for people smarter than they were. Okay? And to this day, where they find evidence where that might have been the case, you have people saying aliens did it. Egypt is, of course, in Africa.
Yeah.
A brilliant civilization. Oh my gosh. While Europeans were still either disemboweling heretics or whatever the hell they were doing, even before that, thousands of years ago. So my point is, if you don't look for it and you don't find it and you're going to create a map of humans of the world, you're going to put yourself at the top. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to write things like this. Who do you want to hear from? Thomas Jefferson or Francis Galton?
Jefferson.
Jefferson, 1785. Speaking of the Negroes, comparing them by their faculties of memory, reason, and imagination, it appears to me that in memory, they are equal to the whites. In reason, much inferior, as I think one could scarcely be found capable of tracing and comprehending the investigations of Euclid. And in imagination, they are dull, tasteless, and anomalous.
What is Euclid?
I honestly don't know how many Euclid-fluent white people Jefferson knew in the original American colonies. Euclid invented geometry. Okay, Euclidean geometry is ancient Greece. And his books still exist to this day. So he's saying the black slaves don't know Euclid, can't figure out Euclid.
Well, they haven't been educated.
Well, regardless,
The whole
how
thing is
many
so
how many
ridiculous.
white farmers in 1785 USA
Also.
knew Euclid?
Yeah,
No.
zero.
Okay. Okay. But whatever were his observations and objections to black people, he had no hesitation continually mating with at least one of them, producing 6 children. So you know what I did here? Then there's a guy who wrote a whole book comparing black people and white people, a book that was used into the 1960s. It was called The Origin of Races by Carlton Kuhn. He wrote, if Africa was the cradle of mankind, which he recognizes, it was only an indifferent kindergarten. Europe and Asia were our principal schools. So these are people putting themselves at the top. He's white, so he's got to put white people at the top. Then I thought, suppose anthropologists were black racists instead of white racists. What would they write? What would they come up with?
Well, also what he's saying is ridiculous because if it's kindergarten, how did they do the pyramids? It's the most complex structures ever known to man.
Hold on. So
But we can't reproduce today.
That's,
All of it's ridiculous.
my only point is, when you have that mindset and you have to put yourself at the top, and all people with dark skin are one entity, you're not looking for people smarter than you. You're not. There's other evidence here. Do you realize that the people who get the highest scores on standardized tests in England are people, immigrants from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria? And their kids outscore all the the quote native white people in the town. If you're not looking for them, you're not finding them. It just doesn't. It's a thing. It's all here in this chapter, and all I'm doing is bringing science to it. That's all I'm